Growth is not something that begins outside of us. It is not about the titles we hold, the recognition we receive, or the possessions we collect. True growth always begins within. A woman's greatest power does not come from external validation or material achievements. It comes from her inner foundation. When a woman is strong within herself, she becomes unshakable no matter what the world throws at her. And that inner strength is built daily through confidence, mindset, health, and emotional balance. These are the roots that support everything else in life. Without strong roots, even the tallest tree can fall in a storm. But with deep, solid roots, even the harshest winds cannot break it. Confidence is the first and most essential part of inner growth. Too often, women are taught to doubt themselves, to seek approval from others before they act, to measure their worth by the opinions of society. But confidence is not something that anyone else can give you. It is something you must build within yourself. Every time you choose to believe in your own value, every time you trust your abilities instead of second-guessing, you strengthen your confidence. Confidence is not arrogance. It is not about thinking you are better than others. It is about knowing that you are enough, exactly as you are, and that you have the ability to improve and rise. A confident woman does not need the world to validate her, because she validates herself. She does not need permission to step forward because she knows her worth, and that kind of confidence is magnetic, powerful, and unstoppable. But confidence is not built in a day, it is built in moments. Every small victory, every promise kept, every challenge faced adds a brick to the foundation of confidence. When you step outside of your comfort zone, when you try something new even though you feel fear, when you speak up even though your voice shakes, you are building confidence. And the more you do it, the stronger it grows. Confidence is like a muscle, it strengthens with use. The woman who grows in confidence daily becomes someone who cannot be silenced because she knows her voice matters. She becomes someone who cannot be easily shaken because she knows her strength. Yet confidence alone is not enough. A woman's mindset is equally powerful in shaping her growth. The mind can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. It can either push you forward or hold you back. Every day, life throws challenges our way. Setbacks, failures, disappointments, doubts. It is not the events themselves that define us, but how we choose to think about them. A positive, resilient mindset can transform obstacles into opportunities, pain into power, and failures into lessons. A negative mindset, on the other hand, magnifies problems, feeds fear, and keeps you trapped in cycles of doubt. Improving your mindset daily means becoming intentional with your thoughts. It means catching yourself when you begin to spiral into negativity and choosing to reframe the situation. It means replacing "I can't" with "I will find a way." It means refusing to let fear dictate your choices and instead allowing courage to guide you. It means practicing gratitude, because gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present, from lack to abundance. A woman with a strong mindset does not wait for perfect conditions. She creates opportunities. She does not give up after failure. She learns and tries again, and she does not allow the world to define her. She defines herself. Alongside confidence and mindset comes the essential pillar of health. Without health, no dream can be sustained. A woman may have ambition, passion, and determination, but without physical energy and vitality, she cannot give her best. Taking care of your health is not selfish. It is foundational. It is what allows you to show up fully in your work, your family, your relationships, and your goals. Every day, small improvements in health matter. Drinking enough water, eating nourishing foods, moving your body, and resting when needed are not luxuries. They are necessities. When you neglect your health, everything else suffers. Stress becomes harder to manage, emotions feel heavier, energy levels drop, and your confidence diminishes. But when you prioritize your health, you feel empowered. You have the energy to chase your dreams, the resilience to handle challenges, and the clarity to make strong decisions. Health is not just about how you look. It is about how you feel, how you function, how you live. And every woman who chooses to care for her health daily is building a foundation that allows her to grow in every other area of life. The final piece of this inner foundation is emotional balance. Life will always bring ups and downs, joys and sorrows, triumphs and losses. What determines your growth is not the absence of emotions, but your ability to manage them. Too often, emotions are allowed to control actions. Anger leads to regret, fear leads to hesitation, sadness leads to withdrawal. But when a woman learns to manage her emotions, she gains power over her life. Emotional balance does not mean you never cry, never feel fear, never get upset. It means you learn to feel your emotions without letting them control your destiny. Improving emotional balance daily might mean practicing patience when you want to react in anger. It might mean taking a deep breath and responding thoughtfully instead of impulsively. It might mean forgiving someone who hurt you, not for their sake, but for your own peace. It might mean letting go of grudges that weigh you down. It might mean seeking help when the weight is too heavy to carry alone. Emotional balance is strength in softness. It is the ability to feel deeply yet still stand tall. A woman who masters her emotions is a woman who cannot be manipulated by the world because she is in control of herself. When you put these pieces together, confidence, mindset, health, and emotional balance, you create an unstoppable foundation. Confidence allows you to step forward. Mindset keeps you focused on possibilities. Health gives you the energy to keep going. Emotional balance allows you to stay steady through storms. Together, they form the roots that make a woman resilient, powerful, and unstoppable. Growth always starts within, because if the inside is weak, the outside cannot stand. But when the inside is strong, no obstacle, no criticism, no setback can break you. Every woman must commit to improving these inner qualities daily. Because life will always bring challenges, but the stronger you are within, the less those challenges can shake you. People may doubt you, but if you have confidence, their doubt will not stop you. Circumstances may change, but if you have the right mindset, you will adapt and grow. Responsibilities may weigh heavily, but if you have health, you will have the strength to carry them. Emotions may run high, but if you have balance, you will navigate them with wisdom. That is the power of inner growth. Growth does not require perfection, it only requires progress. Each day, you do not need to become a completely different person. You only need to take one small step forward, build a little more confidence. Strengthen your mindset, take one action for your health, practice one moment of emotional balance. These small improvements, repeated daily, transform into extraordinary growth over time. The woman who chooses to grow within herself every day eventually becomes unstoppable, not because life got easier, but because she got stronger. Empowerment is not something that happens in a single moment of inspiration or from one grand achievement. Empowerment is built slowly, steadily, through the small, consistent improvements that a woman makes every single day. Too often, people think success is about one big breakthrough, one life-changing opportunity, one dramatic transformation. But the truth is that real strength, real growth, and real empowerment come from the small, repeated choices that build over time. It is not intensity for a short while that makes someone powerful. It is consistency over the long run. Consistency is what turns ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Think about it. A woman does not become wise because she read one book. She becomes wise because she reads, learns, and reflects every day. She does not become financially independent because she saved money one time. She becomes independent because she made the habit of saving and managing money consistently. She does not become fit and healthy from a single workout or a single healthy meal. She becomes healthy because she chooses to nourish her body and move every single day. Consistency compounds. The power of small, repeated actions multiplies over time until the results are undeniable. That is the secret to empowerment. It is not about what you do once in a while. It is about what you do every day. Consistency creates stability. When you are consistent, you know who you are and what you stand for. You are not easily shaken by setbacks because you have built a strong foundation. You don't need to depend on bursts of motivation to keep going because discipline carries you forward. A woman who shows up every day for herself, even in small ways, begins to trust herself. She knows that no matter what happens, she can rely on her own effort. That self-trust is one of the most empowering qualities anyone can have. When you know you can depend on yourself, no one else's approval or permission matters. But consistency is not always easy. The world is full of distractions, and it is tempting to give up when results don't come quickly. We are used to instant gratification, fast results, quick success, immediate recognition. But empowerment through consistency requires patience. It requires the ability to stay committed even when progress is slow, even when nobody is watching, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Consistency means showing up on the days you don't feel like it, doing the work when it's boring, and choosing discipline over comfort. And the reward of that is far greater than the quick highs of temporary motivation. because the results of consistency last. Every great achievement is simply the result of consistency. Think of a woman who becomes a leader in her field. She did not get there by a single moment of brilliance. She got there because she showed up day after day, learning, practicing, improving, until her expertise became undeniable. Think of a woman who builds a business. She did not succeed because of one lucky break. She succeeded because she kept working through failures, kept improving her strategies, and kept serving her purpose every single day. Think of a woman who raises a family with love and strength. She does not create a nurturing home from one grand gesture. She creates it from countless small acts of care, consistency, and presence. Consistency is also powerful because it builds habits. And habits shape destiny. What you do occasionally matters little compared to what you do daily. When you consistently choose growth, those choices become automatic. At first, it may feel hard to wake up early, to exercise, to study, to save money, to practice mindfulness, to speak kindly to yourself. But as you do it daily, it becomes a habit, and when something becomes a habit, you no longer need to rely on willpower, it becomes who you are. Empowerment comes not from forcing yourself to improve, but from becoming the kind of woman whose habits naturally create growth. Consistency also builds resilience. When you practice something daily, you learn to endure discomfort. You learn to keep going when things are not easy. You learn that failure is not the end, it is simply part of the process. Every time you stick to your path, even when it's hard, you strengthen your resilience. That resilience becomes your shield against the challenges of life. A woman who has built resilience through consistent effort does not crumble at the first sign of failure. She knows that every setback is temporary, that consistency will always bring her back on track. She does not fear challenges because she has trained herself to endure and overcome. There is also a deep sense of freedom that comes from consistency. At first, it may feel restrictive to commit to daily habits, to show up every day even when you don't want to. But over time, consistency creates freedom. When you consistently take care of your health, you have the freedom of energy and vitality. When you consistently manage your finances, you have the freedom to make choices without fear of lack. When you consistently grow your skills, you have the freedom to create opportunities. Consistency gives you control over your life, and control is empowerment. The most beautiful thing about empowerment through consistency is that it does not require perfection. You don't have to do everything flawlessly. You don't have to be perfect every day. You only have to keep going. Progress is not about never missing a step. It is about always coming back, always choosing to continue. If you are consistent over the long run, small setbacks don't matter. Missing one day does not erase the progress of months. Falling once does not undo the strength you have built. What matters is that you return, that you don't quit, that you keep choosing growth again and again. Consistency is also contagious. When a woman commits to consistent growth, she inspires others. Her family, her friends, her children, her community. They see her discipline, her persistence, her steady progress, and they are moved to do the same. Empowerment through consistency does not stop with one woman, it spreads. It creates a ripple effect that encourages others to show up for themselves too. In this way, consistency not only transforms one life, but it transforms many lives. Daily improvement in knowledge, habits, and character may seem small in the moment, but over months and years, it changes everything. A woman who reads 1 page a day, exercises for 10 minutes a day, practices gratitude each night, and invests a little money each month may not feel the impact immediately, but after a year, after 5 years, after 10 years, her life will be completely different. She will be wiser, stronger, healthier, wealthier, and more at peace, not because of one dramatic change, but because of small, consistent actions. That is the secret most people overlook. Empowerment is not sudden. It is earned through the quiet, steady discipline of consistency. If there is one thing every woman should understand about her growth, it is that consistency is her superpower. She does not need to wait for the perfect time. She does not need to wait for motivation. She does not need to compare her journey to others. She only needs to keep moving, step by step, day by day. Those small steps, repeated daily, will take her farther than she ever imagined. And in that steady, unstoppable progress lies her empowerment. When a woman chooses to improve herself daily, the impact of her growth never stops with her alone. Every step she takes toward becoming stronger, wiser, healthier, or more fulfilled naturally radiates outward. She becomes a source of inspiration, a light in her family, her community, and her world. Influence is not created by titles, wealth, or social position. It is created by how consistently someone lives with purpose and integrity. When a woman grows in relationships, communication, and purpose, her influence expands far beyond herself, touching lives she may never even realize. Think of the way a mother's consistency affects her children. She does not have to lecture them every day for them to learn. They learn by watching her. They see how she faces challenges, how she speaks to herself, how she treats others, and how she approaches her work. Her daily choices shape their understanding of strength and resilience. A daughter who sees her mother consistently taking care of her health, pursuing her goals, and treating herself with respect, grows up believing that it is normal and possible to do the same. A son who sees his mother balancing discipline and compassion learns what respect looks like. In this way, her growth does not stop with her. It builds the foundation for the next generation. Influence extends into relationships. A woman who works on herself daily brings more patience, empathy, and clarity into her connections. Instead of reacting from frustration or insecurity, she learns to respond with understanding. She communicates with confidence instead of silence, with clarity instead of confusion, with love instead of fear. When she consistently chooses to improve her communication, she uplifts every interaction. People around her feel valued and respected, and that strengthens bonds of trust and support. The way she treats herself teaches others how to treat her. The way she communicates teaches others how to listen and respond. Relationships thrive not because of grand gestures, but because of consistent choices to grow. When a woman commits to her own growth, she also becomes a role model. Role models are not created by perfection. They are created by consistency. People do not follow those who pretend to have it all together. They follow those who keep striving to improve despite imperfections. A woman who admits her struggles but continues to grow every day shows others what true strength looks like. She does not have to tell others to grow. Her example invites them to grow. Her life becomes a living testimony that progress is possible, that resilience is powerful, and that daily improvement is transformative. Communities are strengthened by women who choose self-improvement. A community is only as strong as the individuals who make it up, and when women improve themselves, they bring that strength into the collective. A woman who invests in her education not only creates opportunities for herself, but becomes a resource for her community. A woman who builds financial independence can support local businesses, charities, and causes. A woman who develops leadership skills can mentor others, guide young girls, and create platforms for change. Her personal growth becomes a public blessing, and her influence extends far beyond what she could do alone. There is a ripple effect in influence. Imagine dropping a single stone into a still lake. The ripples extend far from where the stone landed. The same is true for a woman improving herself daily. She may think she is just exercising for her own health, but someone else is watching and feels inspired to start moving too. She may think she is just reading for her own learning, but one day her words spark a new perspective in someone else. She may think she is just speaking kindly to herself, but her children overhear and begin to change the way they speak to themselves. Influence does not always announce itself, but it always exists. Influence beyond self also comes from purpose. When a woman discovers her purpose and aligns her daily actions with it, she creates a legacy. Purpose gives direction to her consistency. Instead of living only for herself, she lives for something bigger. That could be raising her family, building her career, serving her community, creating art, or fighting for justice. Whatever her purpose is, when she commits to improving daily within that purpose, her influence expands. People are drawn to purpose-driven individuals because they radiate clarity, passion, and commitment. And when that purpose is nurtured consistently, the influence grows stronger over time. It is important to recognize that influence is not about controlling others or forcing change. Influence is about inspiring others by example. True influence invites, it does not impose. A woman who consistently improves herself communicates without words that growth is possible. Her life says, if I can do it, you can too. That kind of influence is powerful because it is authentic. It comes from action, not from demands. People resist commands, but they are drawn to inspiration. One of the most empowering aspects of influence beyond self is that it multiplies. When one woman chooses to grow, she influences others to grow, and those people influence even more. A single act of self-improvement can trigger a chain reaction of growth across families, workplaces, and communities. A woman who starts a small business out of her daily discipline may inspire another woman to start her own. A woman who decides to pursue higher education later in life may encourage a friend who thought it was too late. A woman who leaves behind unhealthy habits may encourage others to believe that change is possible. What began as one person's journey spreads into a movement. Influence also reshapes culture. For centuries, women's roles have often been limited by tradition, expectation, or stereotype. But every woman who commits to improving herself daily challenges those limitations. She shows that women can be leaders, innovators, and visionaries. She shows that women can balance strength with compassion, ambition with humility, independence with community. As more women improve themselves, their influence collectively changes society's perception of what women can achieve. They expand the boundaries of possibility, not only for themselves, but for every woman who follows. At the deepest level, influence beyond self is about legacy. Legacy is not only about what you leave behind when your life ends, it is about the daily impact you make that continues to live on in others. Every habit, every act of kindness, every word of encouragement, every lesson taught through action becomes part of your legacy. A woman who improves herself daily is not just living for today, she is shaping tomorrow. She is planting seeds that will grow long after she is gone. That is the power of influence. It extends beyond the present moment into the future. Even the smallest consistent actions create legacy. Reading to a child every night creates a love for learning that lasts a lifetime. Practicing integrity in small decisions teaches others the value of honesty. Showing kindness to strangers inspires a culture of compassion. Speaking up against injustice, even in small ways, encourages others to find their voice. These actions may feel small in the moment, but they accumulate into a legacy of influence that lives on through others. And influence does not require a large audience. Some women may think that unless they have a platform, a stage, or recognition, they cannot have influence. But influence begins with one person. Changing the life of one child, uplifting one friend, mentoring one colleague, these are acts of influence. And often, the most profound influence is not the one we see publicly, but the one that happens quietly, behind the scenes, in private moments of care, support, and encouragement. Influence beyond self is also about responsibility. Growth is not just for personal satisfaction. It comes with the responsibility to use it for good. Knowledge gained should be shared. Strength built should be used to lift others. Opportunities created should be multiplied for others. A woman who improves herself daily understands that her growth is not selfish. It is an investment in her ability to contribute. Her empowerment is not only for her freedom, but for the freedom of others. Her voice is not only for her story, but for the stories of those who cannot yet speak. That responsibility transforms her growth into a force for collective good. The most powerful part of influence is that it never ends. Even when a woman does not realize it, her growth is shaping someone else's life. Someone is always watching, always listening, always learning from her example. That awareness should not feel like a burden, but like a motivation to keep growing. Because the truth is, when a woman commits to improving herself every day, she does not just transform her own life. She transforms the world around her, one consistent choice at a time.